Welcome to World's Most Interesting. I'm Brady Knowlton. Today we will be talking to Kyle Grothues of Sons of Liberty fame, one of the largest online gun retailers. He has started a new business with Clint Voight where you can make your own AR the way you want it from the comfort of your own gun store, ordered to your specifics and sent to you. We're going to be talking about guns in the news, manufacturing, and the upcoming SHOT Show in Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kyle Grothues and Clint Voigt. Kyle, formerly of Sons of Liberty fame. He is a gun-selling fool, and we are going to be talking about the SHOT Show, guns in the news, and other cool shit. Thank you. And I got Clint Voigt and Kyle have started a new business we're going to talk about called Customization Station, and a really cool way to get your AR the way you want it to be. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Hey, it's good to be on, man. It's great to meet you.
Yeah. Hey, so I wanted to start off with a little bit of like guns in the news stuff. And, you know, that situation that happened up in Minnesota, you know, we got a situation where there's lots of mad people out there. And I think, first of all, why is it that, that we have a lot of these like these like lesbian ladies confronting the police, and when you saw that video, what were you thinking? Like, because I kind of got the feeling that the guy legally was fine, but maybe he could have got away without shooting her. And I was trying to be compassionate to both parties, because you know now for the rest of that guy's life, the liberals are going to be trying to burn down his house and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it, man. After watching all the videos, was he legally justified? Yes. Would I have taken that? I mean, I'm not a cop. I've never done that job, so my opinion probably doesn't mean a whole lot. But would I have taken that shot? Probably not. I probably would have got out of the way or jumped on the hood. I mean, done anything really besides
whacker.
That'd be a last resort. Yeah. I was talking to a few friends that are on the liberal side of things, and one thing I was telling them is like, man, I'm really surprised that was the first shooting. This has been going on for a year, and imagine these guys. Imagine you doing that job.
Constant confrontation, yeah.
Fucking with you all day long. I'm really surprised as the first time something like that happens.
Well, I think that guy's like on that guy's maybe in a little bit of his defense. You ever heard the statement, your ass hurts where it's been burned? I guess he got drugged last year and had 30 stitches in his legs.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Well, that explains a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Also when I was sitting there thinking about like lesbians, I think I kind of look like the dog that lesbians adopt. You know how like they always have those like weird rescue dogs? And I think I'm 45. I'm kind of old and calloused and maybe like a little asymmetrical, like their dogs. And I wonder, why do they always adopt ugly dogs? What's up with that shit?
No idea. I didn't know that was a thing. I know that, there's I shouldn't say this to my wife. My wife drives a Subaru, but driving a Subaru is a thing.
Yeah, 6'5" Creedmoor also.
I do actually.
So do you guys know my brother Corey Knowlton? I don't know if you know Corey, but like my brother, he's got like a big online presence, but he's been on the anti Creedmoor thing since like the very beginning. He was like, right the second it came out, all he did for a year was make the worst part about having a 6.5 Creedmoor is having to tell your dad you're gay and all that and all that stuff. Well, so is your wife from Colorado?
No, she's from Texas. She's from Corpus. I don't know. She's got a lot of family in Colorado. Her family owned a bunch of ski resorts up in that area, so I think maybe that contributed to it. But she's always liked the New Mexico, Colorado lifestyle. So that's
the
one I bought her. I mean, she's got the top of the line one. I mean, I actually don't mind it. It's got leather. I mean, it's a nice vehicle. Besides it chirping at me to keep my eyes on the road while I'm trying to text and drive. Besides that, it's not too bad.
Yeah, well, I think in Colorado, they like issue you a Subaru and a Golden Retriever, because like when you're driving around, you see tons of Subarus with Golden Retrievers in them. It's like, I think that's like comes with a driver's license. I had property up there for years. And the best thing about Texas in the summer is Colorado. And because it's so damn hot here and you got to like escape as a climate refugee. And I did see that place over the years when I went to law school in Denver. And when the pot law changed, everybody started coming in there for like tourism and stuff. And the Denver just got flooded with graffiti. And that was a really interesting, like, sociological experiment that, like, I don't knock anyone for smoking pot. I don't think they should go to jail for it. But once they changed that law, that state became like far different. And the hippies aren't like the way the hippies used to be. They used to kind of be kind of cool and loose, you know? And now they're like radical, uptight, pothead hippie. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I like that state it used to be like a Western state. We go up there and hunt and have a good time. And now it's like closer to Portland than.
It depends where you go, man. You got out in the sticks anywhere, even in Seattle. I mean, even Washington, you go to Centralia, the middle part of Washington or the eastern part of Washington for sure. And it's totally normal. I mean, we were just up in Medford, Oregon. Medford, Oregon's pretty normal, but I mean, you go, was it like 3 or 4 hours north to Portland and it's a total shill. So it's just like any other state. I mean, here you got Austin, great place to visit, wouldn't want to live there. So
Yeah,
it's just the other state where you got your shit areas and your, more right wing, well balanced areas.
well, God bless Texas. I'm so grateful that, like, you all are Texas guys, right? Yeah, like, yeah. So I saw you went to you were a Texas A&M San Antonio guy, and your businesses were out of San Antonio. I feel like we are so lucky to have been born at the time we are. I mean, how old are you, Kyle? Like, what are you? My age, 45, something like that.
Well, I'm 42.
42. We got to live in so much freedom. We got to grow up whacking shit, grow up like blasting guns. And it's so wild that, like, if you look at the transformation of what's happened to society, and we were allowed so much freedom as compared to the rest of the world. It really is a blessing to have grown up. First of all, I grew up in gun culture. Sounds like you guys did, and we got to grow up in a place that embraces us. And I wanted to know, so Kyle, how did you get in the gun business, and what kind of motivated you to do it? Was it just growing up in Texas, being around the guns, or what did it?
I've always liked guns. I remember talking to my dad when the first assault weapons ban came out. It's like, hey, we need to go buy one, one of the pre-banned guns, and it's gonna be worth money someday, that sort of thing, and really wanting an AR-15 and wanting a bunch of guns. And we used to shoot. My dad took me shooting. He wasn't a big hunter, but he did when he was younger, but not a big venison fan, but got into guns. And then we started Sons of Liberty. When I was introduced to my previous business partner, Mike, by a mutual friend of ours. Me and Mike went to high school together, but we were 4 years apart. So I knew his reputation preceded him. I knew of him, but I did not know him until after, right before we started Sons of Liberty. So, and we never thought it would get as big as it did. I mean, we wanted it to, of course, but it just, had some. We entered at the right time of the market, right when things were right after which shooting was it? We entered at a good time when there wasn't a lot of activity, a lot of people entering the market. So we had some good breaks, but it was a lot of hard work too. So
Yeah. Well, around the time that you guys started around 2014 or something like that, right?
I think it's about the time you got into the business too, right, Clint? Because I mean, you were working for us, what, 16?
Yeah, I got into the industry about 2015. This is when I started playing around with guns more seriously.
Yeah.
So it was right after y'all started. Yeah.
Yeah. Obama was like literally the best thing for the gun business. I mean, he really, really was. I read a book called The Road, which was about a post-apocalyptic story between a son and his father that had to survive after some kind of great disaster. And there was like all these cannibals and stuff. And that was like the same time Obama was talking about, you know, all these gun limitations. And I bought like 70,000 rounds of 5.56 and just like went gun goofy buying guns. And between like buying too many guns and going on too many hunting trips, I think the money that I spent outside of that, I wasted. I had more fun with guns and with guns and freaking hunting trips than I ever did with freaking money in the bank.
Yeah, no, it's definitely hunting. It ends up being a little bit too big of a budget. And it's not like just going on the hunting trip and the ammo and clothes, and then you gotta process the meat, and then you gotta, if it's a trophy animal, you gotta get the trophy done. Like, this has been freaking expensive. I mean, I shot the big animal I shot this year was a red stag, and between the mount, the food, and everything else, I mean, it's probably cost me $6,000 in the end. I mean, it's not a cheap, and that's on the low end, man. There's guys out there that are shooting
Yeah.
10, 20, $30,000 animals, and that's crazy.
I have like probably 120 head mounts, and it's not the freaking hunting trips, and it's not the taxidermy. It's the house you got to build to fill all that shit in, man. And so I actually got tired of dusting it all and taking care of it. And after all that, I put it all into storage. Yeah. Well, hey man, so we got the SHOT Show coming up, and I know that you historically probably this was a big time of year. I mean, it's a way to get your products out there. What coming up? What is it that you guys with your new business you're trying to accomplish, and what does 2026 mean for you? And will you be at the SHOT Show, and will you be showing people your new business to get them familiar with Kyle and Clint's new project?
Clint, you can take that one.
Okay. Right on. Well, so I've been in the firearm customization portion of the industry for the last 10 years plus, something like that. Anyway, I do a lot of customization for different gun stores across the state of Texas, and one of the issues is trying to teach the staffing how to bill or invoice a Serco job. So typically the details of that project get mixed up from gun store to me anyway. So I've been sitting on an idea of creating a kiosk that simplifies all that. It keeps all the details together, tracks everything, etc. For like the last 9 years. And yeah, when Kyle was when he was finalizing things with Sons of Liberty, we were just at his house drinking one night, having a couple of drinks, and I happened to mention this idea, and he was like, well, let's run with it. And so we yeah, that's what we've done, man. We've created this really simplified end user experience to customize a gun. In other words, gun stores can now offer customization even though they don't have the equipment and all that. And it facilitates everything for the end user, makes it super simple on everybody's end. Pretty cool.
So basically, you can go straight to that kiosk, and you can make your AR the way you want it, and you don't have to. It's all available to you. You don't have to thumb through a bunch of pages or sit there with the shop owner to figure it out. It does it for you.
Right. It does it all for you. Basically, it's kind of like me standing there having a consultation with a customer, in a sense. Super simple. You can select, not just an AR, but whatever type of firearm that you have, flamethrower, whatever. You can select that item and what parts you want to customize, how you want to customize them, and then the next screen it shows you, what vendors are in our network, what applicators are in our network, and you can see their turnaround times and what their pricing would be based on how they've set it up on the back end, and pick from there. You know, let's say you wanted a multicam rifle, uh, and ABC Cerakote doesn't specialize in that type of camouflage. They do more of like Star Wars themed guns or something like that, right? You wouldn't want to pick them. It'll show you what everybody kind of specializes in, as well. So you'll make the best, choice of who you pick to do the work.
So it kind of helps the store in that a lot of what your customer satisfaction is determined by as a gun dealer is by the education of your salespeople, and so this kind of helps overcome that hurdle for them.
Yeah, and it introduces a whole new revenue stream too to the gun store. They'll make margin on that custom project, which, if you know anything about the firearm industry, you don't make very big margins on selling firearms. When you manufacture, that's a different story, but just a retail store, margins typically aren't super great, but on a Cerakote project, they are. So you can actually, all they got to do, they get paid to box up a gun and send it somewhere or put it aside, and have the local Cerakoter come pick it up. It's pretty simple, pretty effortless, honestly, on their end.
So when have you guys got these in the stores yet?
Now we're looking at probably, we'll have the first units out in mid-March is probably what we're looking at. We're finishing up. We had to add a couple developers. We got 7 developers working on this full time right now. And we're getting pretty close, but I don't know if you ever developed software, but you have all these teams working on different pieces of it, API, front end, back end, and it's not till the very end when it all kind of comes together and becomes a real working thing. So we're looking at probably early March, and then we're going to get this out in about 10, 20 locations around San Antonio where we're at. A lot of the ones where, my former dealers and the guys that Clint has agreements with are ready to pick up jobs. And we're hoping beta testing will be done in 3 to 4 weeks. We're not, I think we've thought of everything, but there's always something, right? So me and Clint will be trying to break it, sitting there at night with one at home, trying to, doing everything you possibly can to try to break this thing. And we're hoping by April, we can start rolling these out nationwide. I mean, we're talking about probably picking up I've typically been anti-rep groups, not really my, I don't know if you're familiar with rep groups in the gun industry. Haven't had a good experience with them, but I think we made the decision. We think this product lends itself really well to having a rep group because we need to hit as many stores all over the US as we possibly can. And, there's only 2 of us. So versus us flying all over the United States, it's easier to have, 50 reps out there pushing it. And this really is something that we could put in every gun shop in the United States. I mean, it's, you think of Bass Pros, they don't offer any customization. This is a whole new revenue stream for them. I think of rural shops, shops out in the middle of nowhere. They probably don't even know where their closest Cerakoter is. They wouldn't even know where to refer somebody. But they pay a monthly fee. We put it in their store. They get the hardware for free, and it makes it easy for them. They don't have to, like Clint said, no training, no nothing. All they got to do is box it up and ship it out, and it just makes it super simple. And there's other. We're gonna have laser engraving in there out of the gate, Cerakote. Next step's probably laser stippling, and then there's a whole lot of other stuff we could add to it as we go along. So,
well, like when Christmas comes around, everyone wants to buy their dad a gun or whatever. You always want to buy them something that maybe for those people like us, you want to buy them something that they don't have. That gives you the ability to buy the right gun for the right guy, and it's just his, right? There's a one of one.
Yeah, like if he's a Green Bay Packers fan, you can go buy a Glock and immediately turn around to the kiosk, and that's something we're working around too, is, licensing stuff. But we're going to have a selection in there, probably going to be something like, NFL gun, pro football gun. You don't have to give the vendor some details, which team you want and stuff. We're not going to be able to put Green Bay Packers in there. They're going to freaking sue us, but
yeah,
we have to get around that. But yeah, exactly. You can put Green Bay Packers or the Cowboys or the Spurs or whoever, Texas A&M. You can do anything you want. Laser's name on it, laser logo on it. I mean, the sky's the limit. Anything you can really think of.
Hey, Kyle. So there was my father, as an individual, you talk about people that are crazy about guns. My dad will buy 400 guns a year, sometimes, and he's one of those that like products like this that he would for all his employees he would buy them some kind of individual thing. But in those years that, and I buy quite a few guns, and I've had to go to different retailers because they come and go. I saw a lot of people it's a very tough industry, and I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the people in it. Why is it that you were so successful where so many people haven't been?
I mean, part of it was the rise and part of the reason I'm not there anymore is we had to take on investors. So we did get lucky taking on getting a lot of capital, because manufacturing guns to grow it is extremely capital intensive. Whether you're buying machines and making your own parts or just keeping a large inventory. I mean, our inventory was in the millions at any given time. And that was a big, there's people, I mean, there's many reasons. One of them was good people. We lucked out hiring some really good people over the years that were able to grow into roles beyond what we originally hired them for.
Yeah.
My partner Mike was really good at the social media thing, getting out there, riling people up, get the name out there. Sometimes doing some crazy stuff, but it gets your name out there and gets people, know who you are. I think the next thing would be that me and Mike always stood for something. Sons of Liberty meant something to us, and we stood by our customers and tried to do what we could for the gun rights cause as we could. Mike, we were out there talking at different events and showing up for rallies and parades and stuff like that. We really did believe in it and still do. So there's a lot of things that went into it. I mean, we saw a lot of companies come up and try to compete with us and then go to die. You know what I mean? And it's funny over the years, like I could probably make a list of all the people we thought were our biggest competitor, and with the exception of one, they're all gone now.
Yeah.
And companies that came up about the same time we did.
Look, you're a successful guy. And that is a tremendous company that you guys built. What is it that keeps motivating you? What is it that keeps you chasing and creating, and like your new product? What is it that motivates you in the industry, or what gets you out of bed every day?
Man, I like building. Clint gave me the opportunity to after I stepped down as CEO of Sons of Liberty last year. Sons of Liberty got to the point where we were trying to grow really fast. So that's part of the reason I stepped down, is they brought in a guy that had done it before at Staccato. So I wish him the best of luck, with that. But I really do enjoy the first phases of like really building a company and like setting the foundation. You know what I mean? Hiring the right people, vetting logos and processes, like all that first part of it is a lot of fun. And this idea Clint had gave me the opportunity to go back and do it all over again. And yes, you're good if you can build one company in the gun industry, you're good, man. If I can build 2 or 3 in my lifetime, that'd be pretty cool.
What kind of volumes were you selling at Sons of Liberty? Like how
we were produced somewhere between 10 and 12, but almost 1,000 guns a month is kind of what we're shooting for. So, but you got to remember, our guns we're all hand built, still are.
Yeah.
So it was not the most profitable way to build guns. There's a reason why they're expensive. Our guys took a lot of ownership, and that's something me and Mike thought about a lot, is do we go to the more assembly line way of doing it, where a lot of shops do it, where you have one guy and just builds lowers, or maybe he just puts together buffer kits, or whatever he does, right? We always had it, and they still do it, where one guy builds your entire gun, and we can trace it back with the serial number to who built it. So we'll have officer involved shootings, civilians using their guns and stuff, and we can actually go back and trace who built that gun, and like, hey, you saved a life by building that gun. So it turned out a really good product, but it was not the fastest, most efficient, profitable way to do it.
Well, in business, you always want 3 things, right? Good, cheap, and fast, and you can only have 2. So at most, sometimes you only get 1. And when you're building a product like that, it takes so much effort to create a very, very good product. and it's very cool that you guys were able to accomplish that. So how many like of those customers, how much of it was law enforcement and operators?
Probably about 40, yeah, probably about 40% a year typically, and the rest was civilian. We had a pretty, you see a lot of companies that are real heavy one way or the other. We had a really good mix, and that's something me and Mike tried to do was if the civilian market was down, the law enforcement market would keep us going, and then the other way around, if the law enforcement market was slow, the civilian side would keep us going. So we always had a really good mix, and we never wanted to be seen as there's plenty of people out there, all the bootlegger crowd and all those wackadoos. They're always like coming after us for support and police and this, that, and the other, and we're just given the tools to. There's a lot of really good cops out there, and we give them the tools to do their jobs. There's bad people in every profession,
Right.
And we always thought it was a really important job. And man, I'd see other companies, I won't mention any names, but they would sell guns like to police departments, and they wouldn't work. They
Oh,
wouldn't take them, they wouldn't fix them, they wouldn't do anything. Like we'd either try to fix them or give them a really good deal on new ones. We actually donated guns to a few departments that just couldn't buy the correct equipment, didn't have the budget for it, or they had bought stuff and the company they bought it from wasn't backing it up. So that I couldn't sleep at night if that was me. If I knew I'd sold a gun to someone that carried every day in their job and it didn't work.
no, there's nothing like a dry fire in a life-threatening situation.
Yeah, and we've supplied so many guns to law enforcement. The last full year I was there, I think we had somewhere in the line of like 35 or 40 officer involved shootings, something like that.
Wow. Wow. So
And there's certain weeks where we'd get 2 or 3 a week. And our policy always was if their gun got taken for evidence, we would immediately replace it. So that would stop everything. We typically find a gun we had already built that we use for demo or something and ship it out, but we try to ship it out as close to the configuration they had. And if they had suppressor, optic, flashlight, whatever, we tried to get them a gun out immediately so they weren't out on the street without a gun. So that was sometimes it was tough because we'd get, like I said, we'd get 2 or 3 in a week.
I'm surprised you guys didn't get called to testify at trials.
No, never have. My business partner Mike would do some stuff as an expert witness, but mostly on gun rights. We got subpoenaed a couple times, but it's typically on the civilian side, and we fought them as hard as we could. Is stuff like, oh, we need every name that somebody that bought blah 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 part from your shop, and we'd come back, we'd have our attorney come back and be like, no, we're not doing that. Like, we'll give us a name and we'll give you the records. Like we can't get out of that. Like, if they come in like, did Brady Knowlton buy a charging handle? Like, yeah, here you go. We can't get out of that piece of it, but I'm not just going to turn over my entire database to you because you asked, that's not a thing.
Well,
So we had to fight a couple times.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I really don't know of a case where someone in a civil trial didn't respond to a subpoena and they got held in contempt. Judges don't. I don't think they give a shit. And then,
Yeah, and they go fishing. They try to, if they need one thing, they try to get 1,000 things. So it's like, no, like you tell us the one thing you want and we'll give it to you, but we're not giving you all that. And that's one reason we stopped selling parts to convert guns into full auto. Well, some of the dealers, but we stopped selling to anybody because that was just constant subpoenas for people that have built machine guns in their garages. And hey, man, that's your right to go for it. What a man does in his own garage is his business, but it was starting to cause problems. So we started selling to dealers, and dealers would sell them.
yeah.
We had several dealers that had no problem selling them out to anybody that wanted them, which, I have no problem with owning it. You more than welcome to own the parts, and you don't get in trouble until you put it in the gun. But it was just an extra layer of insulation for us. Someone would call us looking for them. We'd tell them which dealers carried them and go get them from them, type of thing. So
What do you think about like guns? I feel like that for guns to be safe, you have to have a lot of training with them, and that you really have to be familiar with the weapon. You have to be familiar with with shooting. But now with I think they call it the FTR, where people are able to legally convert their gun to full auto. It gets around some of the technical, the legality, and you can it pulls the trigger every time, but it's full auto. I got a couple of these for Christmas. What do you think about the average guy, the average bow hump, having a full auto weapon, which it's proliferating quite quickly?
I think everybody should have full auto weapons. They should be legal. My only issue, I think Clint's installed a bunch of them actually for some of our investors and friends on those FRT at FTR.
No.
Oh, I thought you
Did that.
one in Russell's gun. My issue is with the full auto, if you let your finger off the trigger, it stops firing. With the fast reset triggers, if you want to stop, you're still getting one more round. So imagine somebody walks in front of that gun and there's another round coming out, whether you like it or not, so I don't know. Man. I think I've totally cool full autos being illegal. I think the fast reset triggers are kind of dangerous. Just the fact that it's fire, 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 fire. You know what I mean? Like if you want to stop firing, you got to hold the trigger down, which is not what most people do. So if somebody walks in front of your gun, you're just gonna, you're gonna let go of it, and one more round's gonna come out. You might hit somebody. So I don't think they're that safe. Full auto is actually safer in my opinion than a fast reset trigger. But good luck making that case with the government. They don't give a shit what we think.
Yeah. So, hey, we recently saw where the Supreme Court deemed the ban on concealed carry in California unconstitutional. How are you feeling generally about the Second Amendment now? It seems like with the court, we're kind of starting to enter a new era with gun ownership. It seems like the rights are really moving back on our favor after a long, expensive battle on a lot of from a lot of interested parties. How are you feeling about the sanctity of the Second Amendment right now? Do you feel like things are getting better for us, or?
What do you think, Clint? I think it's gotten better the last few years. We've definitely been heading the right direction. I think the real issue is just how the system works. In fact, the Supreme Court could say, you have the right to carry a gun, and then some state turns around and be like, no, you don't. And then we got to go fight them again. It's just constantly fighting the same battles over and over. And they don't give a shit what the Supreme Court says. Supreme Court, they're going to nuance their law just slightly to get around what the Supreme Court said, and you got to have the whole same damn fight over and over, over again. I think there's a constant give and take, but I think as a whole, we're getting closer where we want to be, but it's going to be a fight probably forever.
What I think about it is that justice is regional, unfortunately. And Bertrand Russell once said sin is regional, right? And I think we live in a situation now where like you're saying, regardless of what the Supreme Court says, you get a prosecutor who has prosecutorial discretion, and they want to make a statement like, was it Daniel Perry up in New York when there was a guy attacking people on the subway, he chokes them, but then he gets charged. It seems like that if you're in those real liberal jurisdictions, that you might be on the right side of the law, but you're going to have to fight for your life to advocate for those rights, and the punishment itself is the process. So I think we're probably on paper moving in the right direction, but I would still be very hesitant of trying to enjoy those rights in jurisdictions that aren't gun friendly.
Yeah, I generally try to avoid that.
I don't go to those places.
I try not to, yeah. And even the Sons of Liberty, we'd have to go do law enforcement demos in states that were not gun friendly. And we had every right to carry machine guns, whatever the hell we wanted to, right? But do you want to have that conversation on the side of the road with some cop that's not a fan, right? Probably not. So situation like that, we typically ship our guns ahead of us to the PD and meet them there and then ship them back. Like I've done some crazy shit. Like we picked up 55 MP5, full auto MP5 from the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections about 4 or 5 years ago. And there's a big case. There were 6 MP5 SDs. I don't know if you know, like the suppressed ones, the really cool ones. And they had packed them in this one big case. All 6 guns were in this big case. I'm like, fuck it, I'm flying back with these. And so I'm going through LaGuardia. We flew back to New York because we had meetings in New York on the way out. So I'm flying back. I'm in LaGuardia and I bring them this case and they open it up and they're like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And so they tried to stop me on weight because I didn't realize this. I'd never done it before. You can't bring something on a plane that weighs over 100 pounds. So it's like 101. So I took the logbooks out and it was like 99.5. And I was like, all right, now what you got? They took that whole thing apart, took all the guns and the foam and everything out of it, and were trying to find some reason I couldn't take this thing on the freaking plane. And they couldn't. They had to pack it on the plane and send it anyway. But it is kind of fun freaking them out like that sometimes. But you know, the airport, you're probably not gonna have a problem. It's on the side of the road where some state trooper pulls you over and is like, "Yeah, you're going to jail. You're not supposed to have these," you know.
Yeah, yeah. We were. I did 27 safaris in Africa, all different countries, and sometimes you have to fly through Amsterdam, and you'll have an evening layover where you leave the next morning, and they keep your guns. They lock your guns up. And we had a couple times where the officials there would screw with our guns because they just hated people going on safaris. And so they left our guns out in the rain, and then they took all our scopes and they just cranked them and took all so you had to recite your gun in. And my buddy, they took the screws out of his, he had a gun with a wooden stock, and they took all the screws out of it and left it out in the rain. So when we got the gun, we took out of the box, it was sopping wet. There's like some people, they just do not want you to have guns. They hate hunting. They hate the idea of someone being able to defend themselves. And so you don't want to subject yourself if you don't have to.
That's part of the reason when you fly with guns stateside, or even like you're supposed to use non-TSA locks. I got a lot of people talking like, "Oh, you got to use the TSA locks." Like, no, like they're not supposed to be able to get into it. Like once they've inspected it, you're supposed to be able to watch them inspect your guns, and then you can lock it, and they're not supposed to be able to get into it. I mean, they can always cut the locks off, of course, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, you're supposed to fly. We got a lot of people always tell me that, like, "Oh, you can't fly with guns." Like, yeah, I do it all the time. But you need to use good solid locks and a good solid case where they can't get into it and fuck with it, because they will. I've had them cut locks off my bags before. It's had like a scope in it, and they didn't take it, but they took my bag, you know, went through my bag and played with it and made sure it wasn't a gun. So nowadays, if I fly with anything that's even remotely looks like a gun or a gun part, I just treat it like a gun and, you know, declare it and check, you know, do all that stuff, because they're gonna go through my bag if I don't.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of hunts on the border of Afghanistan, and so we would hunt on the Pakistan side or on the Tajikistan side. And my brother has these binoculars. They look like Stinger missiles. They're for, you know, spotting sheep 7 miles away. And we were going through Pakistan, and we had our guns. And then when those things went through the X-ray, they thought we were like militants going to start a war. And looking at their faces when we brought that equipment through was freaking hilarious. And then my brother, on the way out, we're leaving the country, he was that guy that had a bullet in his pocket and took it through security. And so they took him to jail, and they put him in jail. And the guy, these countries are so wild, the guy that organized the hunt, he just walked straight in the jail at the airport and just pulled him out and just walked out with him and put him on the plane.
Actually, having a really good buddy of mine, I won't mention his name, but yeah, he went to the airport in South Africa, had a bullet in his pocket. Man, they had to call the freaking embassy.
Oh, really?
The professional, that's really ended up saving him. Same situation. The professional hunter came in there and was like, "No, like you need to let these people go." And like right now in South Africa, it's, you know, it's not stable down there. It's probably not the place I would choose to go hunt at the moment. But
I go hunt there all the time, and you know, I've had different experiences over the years. But one time I was flying out of Port Elizabeth, and similar to the situation you're talking about, cutting off the locks, you have to hand your guns over to the police who put them on the plane. And so there's a little police station inside the airport, and it's not a very big airport. And so we had cash, our cameras for filming, and the videos and the guns. And so we locked the cache and the cameras in there with these gun boxes. And the police, luckily they didn't take our guns, but the police stole our cache and our cameras. Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of situations like when I was younger, we were hunting in northern Mexico, and we were robbed by the army, The army pulled us over, pulled us out of the car, put guns on us, and we were like, "What is going on?" And they were like, "Let us see your passports." And you pull out your little bag or whatever, and so they just take the cash out, then tell you to leave.
Imagine the movie. It was kind of a silly movie. You ever seen the movie Congo?
What, the Congo?
Yeah.
Congo.
Yeah, I saw it years ago when I was a kid.
Yeah, they kind of make jokes about it, but it kind of always reminds me of that movie where they're, the government, the government's fucking with them. Yeah, dude, I've never been on a safari. I want to go. That'd be a really cool trip. I just never had the time to do it. I actually won one at a Fiesta event years ago, and just never got the chance to go. I got cheap, so it wasn't that big a deal. But I didn't have the
You
money.
gotta go, man.
At it, I'm like, by the time we had flights and getting the mounts back and killing the animals and the feeds, I was like, I got the hunt cheap, but it's going to end up being really expensive still in the end. So I was like, I'll wait.
Well,
This is like
if you
10,
do
15.
go to a wild place, go to like Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, spend the money and do it once, because I do think it's one of the last great adventures available to us. And it gets addicting. And for me, I have to say, I was a pretty heavy user, man. I was an addict. And I went over there, I shot everything, and I just kept going back, man. It's just such a wild situation. When you go to Africa, it's, the surface geology, the ground there. To find that type of geology, you have to go down in North America like 300 million years. So it's like literally walking around on places where the dinosaurs are, and it's got a vibe, man. It really does. You feel like that you are in a wild ass place. It doesn't feel like the Western world. And then when you're hunting elephants and you're walking with them, it's like walking with dinosaurs. It's a really exhilarating experience. So I recommend that guys like you got to go once, man.
I remember looking at the price sheet and I was like, Oryx, $4,000, 8X, whatever, Zebra. And at the bottom, it's like monkey, $600. And I looked at my buddy that we won the hunt with. I was like, let's just go and kill like 30 monkeys.
Well,
like we can afford the monkeys. Let's just go kill a shitload of monkeys.
Well, if you go to a lot of places, they have baboon problems, and then you have to do depredation on baboons, and baboons are wild, man. It's such an interesting animal. They have an intelligence to them, but it's almost a little bit of evil. Like they'll pluck all the feathers off a bird and leave it alive. Yeah, they're
sadistic little bastards.
They are, and then they'll they break into camps and steal all the food. And one time my brother and I, we were the first hunters into Uganda since like the 70s. And we went to this camp and it had on Lake Albert, and it had a serious problem with the baboons. And so he got some permission to do some depredation there. And so he told me, he's like, I think you're allowed to bring 11 kilos of bullets. And he told me, he said, I want you to bring 11 kilos of 17 HMR. And we shot about 6 kilos worth of 17 HMR into baboons, and every one of those shots was a dead baboon. So there was like hundreds of them, and it took us it's so crazy. At first, they had a lot of they had a lot of gall. The freaking baboons were like walking straight up to the camp. And after about 2 days of hammering them hard, suddenly it got into their minds that they were being hunted, and they were wild as a wild animal could be. They became like smoke. And like we'd be driving over the hill in the truck. And the second they heard the truck, they were gone. Like they just disappeared. It's a very intriguing animal, man. Hey,
Dude,
so
Brady's not telling us he's got 120 mounts, but 35 of them are baboons. He's got like a baboon room in his house.
my dad, I did that like kind of uncouth, hokey thing where he's got like a baboon mounted where it's like holds the toilet paper roll.
Oh, dude, if I'd shot that big baboon, I'd do all sorts of weird shit with him. Like it'd be everywhere.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, let me ask you this. Like, you guys are gun guys. In your collection, what is the most like badass piece? Like, if you had, like, what's your flagship badass ass gun that you've owned or that you've made?
All right, Clint, what do you got?
Love my precision rifle.
Oh,
My long range. Yeah, my long range gun. It's let's see, it's got a Curtis custom action on it with Bartlett barrel, 6.5 PRC switch lug, Mark 5 HD on a Masterpiece Arms chassis. All the Gucci parts on it, man. Look gas rifle, love it.
Yeah.
But or my full auto MP5 that I built. Yeah, gotta love that one, man. That's a fun gun to shoot.
What like well, how many rounds per minute does a full auto MP5 put out?
I don't know the exact number, man, but it's pretty quick.
How quick do you go through a clips? Like a couple seconds?
Yeah, it's probably 2.5 seconds, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would imagine it puts out somewhere between 600 and 1,000 a minute. I feel like if you could load that fast, yeah.
Mine's set up kind of low. I shoot subs out of it because it's super quiet and it's built kind of set up for those subs, man. So super controllable, and man, I take it to a lot of veteran shoots and cop events that they have here locally, and it's just a fun thing. A lot of people are a big fan of the MP5, so to bust that thing out, it gets a lot of positive attention.
Some oohs and ahs. Yeah.
Check that off their bucket list. It's fun.
And for me, I mean, you're gonna go two ways with that. You can go my, coolest modern gun that I shoot a lot, which is probably similar to Clint. I have a really nice 300 PRC made by Texas Custom Rifles down in Floresville area that I just got. But I think the one I'd show people, I have a lot of guns hanging on my walls in the house because I collect a lot of World War II rifles and pistols. And I've got a 1911, World War II 1911, but it's a Union switch and signal, which is the second rarest type of 1911 you can have from World War II. The rarest being the Singer sewing machine guns that are insanely expensive. Like they're 50, they might even be more now. They might be 100 right now. They only made there's only 500 in existence, and they're probably not all still around. So they're crazy
That's cool.
expensive. But Union switch and signal is a pretty rare gun, and mine's all original with the mag. And I bought it from a friend of mine that I know pretty well that does some marketing stuff for me. And he comes, he's like, "Hey, I got this gun, so many pictures of it." He's like, "I took it down to the gun shop. I won't mention the one here in San Antonio that tried to screw him, but they're like, oh, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They didn't know what they were looking at." And they're like, "We'll give you $1,000 for it." And he calls me, he's like, "That a good deal?" And I was like, "I see the Union switch and I actually saw the other side is 1911. It's the only one where the 1911 A1, there's a space between the 1 and the A."
Yeah.
So I was, I think that's a rare gun. So I was like, "Take it apart, send me pictures of all the parts." And he does. I'm like, dude, that's a 100% original Union switch signal gun. I mean, that gun's worth like 5,500, $6,000.
Yeah.
Take. Like, "I'll give you 4 for it right now." And I was like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They didn't know it was rare when they offered you money for it. But if they did know it was rare and they only offered you $1,000, they're trying to,
Yeah.
stick where the sun don't shine. So
Well, what's interesting is like in like I guess you're gonna call the gun community, the people that buy guns. There's a lot of different kinds of personalities in that. You got like the gun collectors, you got the hunters, you got like the people that are sports shooters or whatever, and then you got like the full auto crowd, and those dudes are a different kind of person. And I'm not talking about the operators. I'm talking about the guys that just like to have crazy guns. I met this dude out in Bryan, Texas, that was from a real rich ranching family. And I heard from Richard Ryan that this gun is for sale, but he had the 20 millimeter cannon that's like on the front of the Warthog. He had that thing on a trailer. And I just watched him decimate a like a giant dirt mound, like you make with a backhoe.
Yeah,
and he was making that. He hit that button for, I don't know, 3 seconds, and watch that dirt mound like disappear. It is. I don't know the purpose of owning something like that. It's like I guess it's just
they get the biggest dick in the room, I guess. Like, oh, you think you're
excuse me.
18-wheeler with the gun on it?
Yeah, excuse me while I whip this out. Yeah.
That'd be really cool. I mean, that might be the coolest thing, besides maybe like a tank, that has a functioning gun, which are pretty hard to find out because you can't bring them in the United States with the gun functioning. So you either have to repair it when it gets here, or you just have a tank without a gun that works. I used to be on the board of a group of a event called Macon Bacon, which was a big machine gun shoot. We haven't had it in like 6 or 7 years because it kind of just got to the point where we couldn't find a place to have it. Nobody would host it. So we were talking about bringing hundreds and hundreds of machine guns out there and letting people shoot them that have never shot them before.
Yeah, that was
Probably
a lot of fun,
business
dude.
shooting them. Yeah, it was.
What
It
was
was
the last
dangerous.
one you had?
Man, the last one we had was down south of San Antonio, and man, that had been like 2017, 2018, I
Yeah.
think. And it was on some guy's ranch. Is when they do a lot of these off-roading events where they do outlaw mutter or something like that. They do some event there, and it was dangerous. We had to kick a guy off the line because he was letting idiots shoot like a PKM. He had 2 PKMs on a tripod,
Yeah.
and I swear they just shot right in front of the fire. Like we're like, no, none of this. They're just getting. It was sketchy, dude. Like there's cows out in the background a mile off, and we're just waiting on one of these like a 50 cal to blow one of these cows up,
Yeah.
cut one in half. It was
We used to have an event like that we would do for a company party, and we had one of those 50 calibers that are on the butterfly trigger that used to go on the airplane wings. I forget what they call that gun, but we had it in this belt fed. Well, it had those tracer rounds in it, and so
Deuce.
yeah, Modus. And so we were just blasting away, and we were letting like secretaries shoot it and stuff. And you can see those tracer rounds, and so everyone's like shooting, and then we go on to the next gun, and then all of a sudden we like look off on the horizon, and there's fires starting everywhere where those rounds out. So we had to like send people who were like stomping stuff out. Yeah, I went to Brandon Herrera, who I got to spend some time with him. Really cool guy. He just threw an event like that out in Vegas, and they had all those full auto guns, and they were letting people. That was the first gun they ever shot in their life. And my son and I were there. We were watching people shoot, and we were like, this is probably really cool for those people, but like you have a lot of experience around guns, you realize how dangerous they are. I think this might not be the place that I don't want to see anything crazy happen today.
Vegas. You can get away with it more because you got miles and miles of backstop.
Nothing.
You go out in the desert and just there's nothing. Maybe there's one thing out there. You'd be really unlucky if you hit it. But yeah, we had the same shoot a few years before, and we had a guy at a 50 cal on an anti-aircraft mount, and you just see somebody shooting. It's like dunk, 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 and it's starting to go up like this. and we're probably hitting the neighborhood, a couple miles away. So we're like, we need
Let's turn it into an artillery exercise. But like Vegas, that place is like that area of the desert. Like God's already destroyed it. It's like there's no use in steering now. You might as well shoot away and now it's just a missile range, because you're not gonna fuck anything up in that godforsaken place. Why is it like Nevada? It's interesting. Nevada is kind of like the Appalachia of the West. It's one of those places where like the trailer parks are alive and active. And
oh yeah, man, you get away from the strip in Vegas, and it's not a nice place. Like it's a shithole. Like when you get away, like it's like super super nice, and then everything else is crap. Apologies to anyone that lives in Vegas, but yeah, it's not a nice place.
yeah, it's like so. Do you go there for anything else with the SHOT Show?
Been for a couple bachelor parties, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I avoid Vegas nowadays, bro. Except for SHOT.
A week a year is enough, dude. Because once you're there for about 3 days, you're like, fuck this place. And then you still got to be there 2 more days. And not only, luckily this year we don't have a booth, so it'll be a little different. It'll be a little less annoying. But by the 4th or 5th day of SHOT, I mean, by Friday, you've said the same thing 10,000 times, and you're over it. Like you want to get the hell out of there. And when I was with Sons, we used to stay there for like 10 days between all the range days.
That's too much.
Dude, we'd be there from either Friday to Friday or Friday to Saturday, and we'd have to come in because there's a bunch of people that don't really do the SHOT thing, don't understand. Like there's a bunch of range days that weekend before SHOT, like the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. There's range days that whole weekend for different things, whether it's special operations or different groups or SIG or whoever hosts their own. So it's, if you're really doing SHOT, like a lot of companies want 2 teams. They'll have the weekend before through Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, they set up the booth and then they split and the second team comes in because it's
they got to relieve them. Yeah. Well, hey guys, where can people find out more about Customization Station?
We got a website, so it's customizationstation.com. And we have our Instagram, our YouTube, and all that stuff stood up. We haven't started posting anything, but running up the shot here. We're going to start. This will be one of the first few things posted on there. We're going to start posting little snippets, little pieces of what we're doing, and then here in a few weeks we'll start really showing people what the system's about. If you're a dealer or a vendor or someone that's interested in being part of our network, by the time SHOT Show starts, we'll have a form up on the website for you to sign up and get on a wait list to have to get a system and have us contact you. So that's the main thing we're looking for right now is start building that network of vendors and dealers. And we'll have a lot of information up on the website about that.
Very cool. Well, hey, Clint. Hey, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I love gun people. I love the Second Amendment, and I love the people that celebrate it. And I think you're doing a great job for the gun industry. And I think you're doing a great job for the Second Amendment. And I just want to applaud you guys and tell you to keep kicking ass.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having us. Good to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a blast. It's fun.
Yeah. All right, amigos. I hope to see you at the SHOT Show here directly.
Dude, yeah, let's get a beer, get a whiskey.
Amen. Maybe we'll share a campfire one day and we'll have our own range day. So thanks, boss.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.